Hey, what is up? So for this video, I wanted to take a look at a deleted scene from season 4 of Better Call Saul involving Nacho Varga, which in my opinion really encapsulates the Kafkaesque situation that Nacho is in, to use a Jesse Pinkman reference, as we head into the final season of Better Call Saul. Alright, so this deleted scene took place in the 8th episode of Better Call Saul in season 4, entitled Kushada, and just to put this scene into perspective, this was the first episode Nacho appeared in since the 4th episode of season 4, entitled Talk, where Gus Fring in this episode told Nacho to rest up because he has more work to do. And this is of course following that it had been discovered by Gus Fring that Nacho had secretly tried to kill Hector Salamanca, the man who Gus Fring has built his entire life around, trying to concoct an elaborate and sadistic revenge against, following him shooting his business partner Mas Arciniega in the head. And of course, during season 4 of Better Call Saul, this discovery that led Nacho to being used by Gus Fring as a pawn in his game of chess against the cartel, where Nacho was shot twice by Gus Fring's men as part of a long scheme in order for it to make it look as though the cartel's supply line had been hit and compromised. So following the time-lapse montage scene that ensued in the episode prior to this, entitled Something Stupid in season 4, where Nacho thus had time to heal from his wounds, is where this deleted scene in season 4 took place, in the episode entitled Kushada. And more specifically, in this episode, we see Nacho return home from work, and this is interestingly the first time we see Nacho's house in the plot of Better Call Saul. And what I actually find quite interesting about this scene is that even though Nacho is being used by Gus Fring, and is really at this point in time basically a dead man once Gus no longer has any use for him, or when the Salamancas find out what he did, nonetheless, until then, because he's now a higher ranking member in the cartel, Nacho has to sort of keep up appearances, if you will, that all is normal in the eyes of the cartel and the Salamancas, as we can see due to the fact that he has a new nice house and nice car, and in his house he has a lot of nice new trappings in it, television and whatnot. And so in this scene, following Nacho returning home from work, we see him walk past some women in his house, whose relationship status to him is, I'll say, undefined. Following this, he then proceeds to give these women some meth to smoke, and then go into his bedroom, where we then see him proceed to open a safe, to which is revealed to us that he has 2 fake identification cards for the country of Canada for him, as well as his father. And following some contemplation from Nacho after looking at these cards is when this scene then finally ends. And so now, with all of this backstory being presented here, this deleted scene from this episode almost certainly takes place following Nacho leaving his bedroom and returning to the living room to be with these women. In this deleted scene, we see one of the women hand Nacho a bowl of macaroni and cheese, and then begin to make some small talk about how the shells taste better compared to the normal macaroni noodles.
I like the shells better. You make regular mac, and it's just like, who cares, you know? But the shells, you just open up the cheese packet, put it in, and it's done.
This is then followed by the other woman then rubbing Nacho's shoulder that he was shot in by Gus Fring's men.
Here, baby. There. It's better, right?
This scene then proceeds to slowly zoom in on Nacho's blank facial expression, which then ends this deleted scene. Now, in my opinion, this was a really great deleted scene here in this episode that I really wish the creators had left in. Because in my opinion, this scene really perfectly sums up how Nacho is feeling at this point in time in the plot of Better Call Saul. In this scene, while Nacho has no dialogue, his motionless and expressionless face and body really show to us that Nacho is more or less dead inside. His situation here is absolutely untenable, and he's basically, in my opinion, sort of just sitting around and waiting to die at this point in time. And really just a quick interesting side note here, this deleted scene also kind of reminds me of Jesse Pinkman from season 4 of Breaking Bad, where following Jesse having to shoot and kill Gale, he then tried to distract himself from the guilt he felt by keeping people around him, including women, who Jesse also gave meth to smoke, like Nacho. Of course, Nacho's version of this is somewhat different, and definitely less overtly debaucherous compared to Jesse Pinkman, but I just thought this was an interesting comparison. But like I said, getting back to the plot involving Nacho, Nacho knows that as soon as Gus Fring no longer has any use for him, or the Salamancas discovered that he tried to kill Hector, he's absolutely done for, and I really feel his motionless, expressionless demeanor in this scene really sums this up. And despite all of this, he basically has to go through the motions of continuing to work for the cartel and continue to return home to the circumstance to which Nacho knows there's really no hope. And so, given this circumstance, we as the audience are likely thinking, why doesn't Nacho just flee? And of course, this is summed up by the scene that takes place in this episode displaying to us Nacho's father's fake ID card to Canada, because Nacho knows that even if he runs, Gus Fring and the cartel will go after his father. And while this fact was only presumed at this point in time in this episode in season 4, this was then all but confirmed in season 5 of Better Call Saul in the episode entitled 50% Off, where Gus Fring puts a gun to Nacho's father's head, metaphorically speaking, as a threat that if Nacho does not continue to comply with Gus Fring's orders, he will kill his father. And so yeah, while at the time of this deleted scene, things were pretty bad for Nacho, this is now actually nothing compared to the situation Nacho was in following the end of season 5 of Better Call Saul, which interestingly was also kind of foreshadowed in the same episode this deleted scene took place in, as this was actually the first time the character Lalo was introduced to us in the plot of Better Call Saul, which would of course in the end manage to somehow make matters even worse for Nacho at the end of this episode. And yeah, like I said, despite Nacho being in a horrible predicament in season 4 of Better Call Saul, this is truly nothing compared to the trouble he is in now after what he did to Lalo Salamanca at the hands of Gus Fring. And while in my opinion, at the time of this deleted scene in season 4, Nacho was just sort of trying to bide his time here for as long as possible, the heat, however, has now fully been turned up to a 10 for Nacho, and for that matter, his father as well, who, as it should be reminded in the episode entitled The Guy for This, has refused Nacho's offer to flee from Albuquerque, as Nacho's father is a straight arrow, to use Nacho's words, who thinks that Nacho should face the consequences of his actions and turn himself into the police for what he has done. An action that Nacho knows will of course lead to the death of both of them. And so yeah, while I absolutely cannot wait to see what happens to Nacho in regards to this plot, and also what he tries to do to save his father here as well, no matter what happens next season, it needs to be pointed out and reminded that this plot will finally need to incorporate Saul Goodman's infamous piece of dialogue from the plot of Breaking Bad in season 2 in the episode entitled Better Call Saul.
Oh, no, 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 no! No, it wasn't me, it was Ignacio, he's the one! Oh no! Oh no, 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 no! Ay, siempre soy amigo! Siempre, siempre
Shut
soy
up,
amigo
man.
del cartel!
Shut up! I just speak English.
Lalo didn't send you? No, Lalo?
Who?
Oh, thank God! Oh, Christ! Oh, I thought...
A storyline that frankly, Better Call Saul as a series, in my opinion, has been building to since the show's very first episode. Alright, that's all I really got for you. Like I said, I really loved seeing this deleted scene here because it really reminds me of the horrible situation that Nacho is in to start next season, which I absolutely cannot wait to see unfold in the plot of Better Call Saul next season. Can't wait to see what the creators have in store for us, of course. As always, my name is Anton Jackson. Thank you again for watching this video.